What's good, everybody? It's your brother Mad Black, the most dangerous and the most toxic black man on the internet. The brother who told you not to listen to this crying, bootlicking buffoon, but you did it anyway, and now he's got you looking just as hypocritical as he is. And I am black up in your face again with some more pro black commentary. So I made a post on my community page here on YouTube, and basically it was just a quick little picture of the Democratic shill Van Jones and his actual family. And in the caption, I was just basically saying that, Van Jones is one of these people who, during the pre election, was out here doing a lot of criticizing of black males, saying that if we as black men don't support Kamala Harris, then that means we are just not being supportive of black women. Like, we got that criticism from people like him, where he made it seem as if we had some sort of venom or some sort of hatred of black women if we don't just automatically support Kamala Harris, right? And in my caption, I was just basically saying that, he would say something like that to us, but when you look at his personal life, you see that he has nothing to do with black women, right? The only time you really see someone like Van Jones near a black woman is usually like if he's on a panel with one on CNN or MSNBC or something like that. But other than that, you really rarely see him with a black woman, and it's obvious that he was not married to one, right? Even when he got a divorce from this woman, he wound up dating Kim Kardashian of all people, right? So, there's so many of these types of Negroes, I would say both within the Democratic Party, and you also see them a lot in the so-called black intellectual community as well, right? They talk a good game about, being loving and respectful of black women and just giving your undying support to black women. But then when you look at their personal lives, you see that they have absolutely nothing to do with black women. Nothing at all, right? And I have to call hypocrisy when I see that. And when I made this post, I saw that there were actually a few people on the page who got upset with me. Like, they were upset that I would even have something to say about Van Jones and his interracial relationship and marriage. Now, a lot of them they came into two camps. Either they were being deliberately dense and they just didn't get what I was saying about Van Jones. Like, they thought, like, I just have a problem with interracial relationships, which I don't. And I'll explain that in a little bit. Or they came into the other camp where they felt like they understood exactly what I was saying, but they didn't want me to put that out there about people like Van Jones, right? So let me just say this off top, that I have no problem with interracial relationships as they stand, right? Like, if you are a black person and you're in a relationship or you're married to someone outside your race, go do that. All right, it's not. I really don't care, and I always use the metaphor as to say that if you get with a white girl or you're a black woman who gets with a white man, I'm not going to be like the Kool-Aid man and bust through your wall and attack you for being with someone outside your race. I really don't care. I don't really dwell on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, or if I see you out in public, I'm not going to give you a nasty look or whatever. Do what you want to do. I've always said about interracial relationships, it's just not for me personally. I just don't, it just never worked for me. I've always been more physically attracted to black women, so for me, it was just never really a thing, right? I went on a date with a white girl one time and I just didn't like it at all. And, went running back to black, right? So for me, it was just never a thing. But for other people, if you find love or you find a relationship with someone outside your race, go for it. It's not that big of a deal. The problem I have, and I recently explained this to someone who is, I guess, a semi-celebrity. I don't know how famous she is yet, but I was talking to someone who's a celebrity and a singer, and she's married to a white man, and I was explaining this to her. I have a problem with the hypocrisy of some people who date outside their race. You know, some black people out there who, like Van Jones, when they promote this whole thing, like you gotta love black women and you gotta do something, you gotta support black women, right? And then they go home to a white girl. Like you can't do stuff like that. That's hypocritical. It is. There's no getting around that. There's no way of sidestepping that. There's no way of, trying to explain that. It is what it is. It's hypocrisy in its highest form. Okay. And, for me, I don't like the fakeness of it, because that's what it is too. When a lot of these guys like Van Jones, they're being very disingenuous when they talk that mess. And if he's going to criticize me just for not voting or supporting a quote unquote black woman, now let me explain this. We all know Kamala Harris is not black, right? We all know that from the jump. I've explained that several times too. That even that in and of itself is a problem and confusing. And Van Jones knows that. He's smart enough to know that. The fact that he would still keep pushing that narrative that Kamala Harris is black and we should support her because she's a black sister or whatever, and you got a black mama and a black sister and all this other stuff. Well, Negro, you got a black mama and may have black female siblings or cousins. Why didn't you get one to marry then? You see what I'm saying? And if you're going to call me a bad black man or a hypocrite because I don't want to support Kamala Harris, then I have to call you out on your relationship. And that's fair. That's fair, right? And listen, this does not just apply to Democratic or political shills like Van Jones. This applies to some other people out here, like some of these, like I'll give you a great example. Umar Johnson. He preaches a lot of that stuff too, right? He preaches a lot of that. You got to be with a black man needs to be with a black woman, and he loves the black queens, right? But the problem I have with Umar Johnson is not that he dates or messes with white girls. The problem I have is that he just sexually exploits black women. See, that's a problem too. If you're one of these Negroes out here who talks a good game about we gotta love black women and be with our black queens and stuff like that, but you haven't married any, you've been making baby mamas out of black women and not taking care of your children, that's a problem too. And you're a real big hypocrite in doing that. See, that's a problem on the opposite end of the spectrum. You can't talk that mess about loving black women and loving our black queens. You're not married to one, or you're out here just impregnating them and not taking care of your children. You see what I'm saying? And you're basically just praising black women to get them into bed with you. See, that's a problem in and of itself as well. And I don't appreciate that either. So, in my opinion, both Van Jones and people like Dr. Umar are in the same category with that type of rhetoric. But, like I said, there are people out there who were upset with me for making this post. And, you can be upset, but you can't deny the facts, right? Van Jones is a hypocrite. And he's a clown anyway. We know I've clowned him. Other folks have clowned him because he's one of these Negroes who's always crying on TV, right? And acting like he's just so heartbroken about election results and who gets to win or who becomes president or whatever. I can't stand this fool. He's one of the worst examples of a black male that has been presented on TV. That's my humble opinion, right? He's the type of Negro that they all want us to be like, but he's a sycophant. He's a liar, and he's nothing but a bootlicking shill for white supremacy, and that's why I have no respect for him whatsoever. But you folks can let me know how you feel about it in the comments section. I would love to hear your opinions on this video. Anyway, Mad Black, and I will be back with my foot on a devil's back.